One of the things that you hear a lot on social media is people talking about being disciplined. I would consider myself a very disciplined person. It's shown up in a lot of areas of my life, but I think it's just been engraved in me and it's just a part of my personality. But I know a lot of people struggle with it. My clients struggle with discipline, people in my everyday life, family, friends struggle with discipline. So when I think about discipline, I think about like what I do on a daily basis, and it's helped me to kind of understand how to inspire others or teach others how to be more disciplined. So there are three things that I think that you should do or master to become a more disciplined person. But first, I'm going to tell you what the definition of discipline is, or what does it mean to be a disciplined person, because discipline is more so about, when you get in trouble, you get disciplined by your parents, they talk to you, they may physically, discipline you to help you understand why you shouldn't do certain things or the consequences of doing certain things. And also discipline can be seen as, like having a set of rules or guidelines to follow in something. But to be a disciplined person means to control your own behavior and thoughts and impulses to achieve a goal, often by following rules or a structured routine. It involves having the self control to do things you may not want to do, refrain from things you shouldn't, and maintain focus even when frustrated, leading to orderliness, efficiency, and the accomplishment of difficult tasks. So, I'll give you guys a few examples of how I knew I was disciplined. So when I first started my fitness journey, one of the number one things that I had to learn is how to work out and the importance of being consistent with working out. I don't have a background of exercise or sports. I never played sports in school. So learning how to strength train was completely new. I hated gym class. I would do well in the class because I wanted to do well. I would always make an A or B because I would show up and do the things even if it was hard. But I wasn't someone who was athletic or played any type of sports. I tried out for cheerleading, didn't make the team, freshman year of high school, and ever since then I never tried sports. So I started strength training when I was in college because I wanted to start losing weight, and the number one thing that I saw was exercise. So I created a routine where I would go to the gym every morning before I would go to class. I would run. I had a period where I would go running before class or after class, and then I also was going to the gym. So I learned how to work out, which I enjoyed, and then I also enjoyed the results, so that pushed me to keep going. Was I perfect at it? No, because that's where discipline came in, where I wasn't always motivated. Like I wasn't always excited to go to the gym, but I would still go because I knew that I was chasing a common goal. I'm actually going to talk about this in another video. Anything that I've ever done in life, I've been successful at it because I have a success mindset. I believe that I can achieve anything. We should all believe that we can achieve anything because when you have that mindset, you will achieve whatever goal you have in any aspect of your life. So for me, fitness is one of those aspects of my life where I had a goal to lose weight, so I did what it took to do it. And that's when I learned I'm a disciplined person. Going to class, I never did not go to class. I always went to class. I always studied. I always did my assignments. Never was somebody who just didn't do what needed to be done to get the job done. Any job I've had, I've always showed up on time. I never call. Well, I mean, if I called out, it was for a reason, but I'm never someone who just calls out for no reason. When I go to work, I do the job that needs to be done. Like I'm usually one of the best employees, and so I saw that. In my early years, which I'm still young, but I saw in my earlier years, teenage years, like, okay, I'm a very disciplined person. Like even if I didn't feel like going to work, I would still go. So now that I reflect on it and I learn more about what it means to be disciplined and what it takes, these are the three things that I would give to people who are looking to become more disciplined. First of all, you need to create systems and routines. That is number one. And as the definition said, it says you achieve a goal often by following rules or a structured routine. See, discipline can be seen as a negative thing because it seems like you have to be hard on yourself, or that you have to do hard things, or that you have to follow a set structure of rules. And honestly, that's what it is. You're doing things that are not comfortable in the beginning, and you're doing things that you probably don't enjoy. So, like I said, working out, I began to love to enjoy it, but even to this day, like going to the gym and choosing to put myself through that pain is hard. It's a hard thing to do, but I do it because I love it and I love the results that it gives me, and I love the way that it makes me feel. So when you are wanting to become more disciplined, yeah, you're going to have to put up some systems and routines in place so that you will follow through with whatever your goal is, which will help you to be more disciplined. So for example, one of my routines is I go to the gym in the mornings. I do not like working out in the afternoons. Today I am because it's Sunday and I wanted to sleep in because I worked all week. But during the week, I go to the gym before I go to work, because if I wait until afterwards, I'm not going to do it, which will mean that I'm not disciplined. So I set up a routine to where, okay, if I had to pick and choose when I'm going to work out, it's going to be before I go to work. But that routine means that I have to wake up earlier than I would have to if I were just to go to work. So I wake up around 4 or 5, sometimes 6 a.m., just depending on what time I go to work. But on average, I'll say 5 a.m. to go to the gym. I wake up at 5. I give myself 20 minutes to say my prayer, brush my teeth, rinse my face, brush my hair, whatever I gotta do for my hair. Just like slowly start my day, but I don't have a 20,000 step morning routine. I literally wake up. I just posted my morning routine before this video comes out. So I literally wake up, say my prayer, brush my teeth, wash my face, drink some water, and I go to the gym. I don't do a million things because I just don't believe in all of that. That's Instagram, TikTok type stuff. I live a real life where I go to work and I don't have time to do a million things in the morning before I go to work. I already have to spend an hour in the gym. So that's my routine. I go to the gym. I spend about an hour to an hour and a half at the most at the gym. And then I come home, shower, make my breakfast, and then I go to work. That's my routine. So you need a routine that works for you, not what you see on social media. You may see somebody do, they may read 30 minutes to an hour before they go to the gym. Cool. Like, if that's what works for them, that's what works for them. But me personally, that's not something that I want to do. I choose to read in other parts of my day. So I'll do it like before I go to bed, or just depending on a work day, I'll do it during that time. But I personally just don't really have time to read in the morning. I could wake up earlier, but I don't want to. So you create a system for you when it comes to the gym or anything in life, as to what time you do things, but you need a routine for it. If you have a financial goal, to be disciplined with that financial goal, you need to have a routine in place as to how you will reach it. So if you want to save $1,000, you need to create a system of how much do you need to save per pay period and by what time to reach that goal. So if you want to reach that goal in 3 months, me personally, I would probably divide up, based on how many paychecks you have. Okay, each check, I'm going to save this much so that I can save this much money by this time. And so that is a system that you have in place. And like, to show how you wouldn't be disciplined is, okay, you don't have a routine in place, but you still say you want to save $1,000 in 3 months. Okay, but then when you get paid and you see you have $200 left over after paying all your bills and setting aside money for groceries and gas, you're like, I know I want to save money, but I think I'm actually going to go to the mall and buy me a new pair of shoes, or take myself on a date. Like, you find a reason to spend this money other than what you had in place to save for this specific goal. But if you have a system in place and say, no matter what, I'm going to save $100 per pay period towards this goal, then that's already setting yourself up for success, and that's you being disciplined. You may not want to save $100 every pay period for this goal, but you're going to do it anyway, and you set up a rule or a system in place for you to reach that goal. So Like I said, you may not want to, but you do it anyway, and this system allows you to do it more easily. It's automatic. It's not something you really have to think about. It's just going to happen because you set up that measure for yourself to do, even though you may not want to at any given time. So have systems and routines in place that will help you reach whatever your goal is, that will help you to be disciplined so that you will do it even if your emotions or your feelings or your current circumstances may not want you to do it. Your flesh will always try to make you do things that you may want to do to feel comfortable, but it may not be what's best for you, for your goal or for your future, or even for your current self, as to, what type of person you want to be and what type of life you want to live. Next thing, be consistent with the little things in your life. If you're consistent with the small things in your life, you will be consistent with the bigger tasks over time. You want to build self-trust. Being disciplined also means you're being consistent. So in order to be consistent, you have to start from somewhere, and I would say start off small. And so that way you're building that trust in yourself to do things. So for example, we're just going to keep using the gym. If you have a goal of strength training 5 days a week, but right now you're doing 0. In order to build self-trust, I always tell my clients, let's start at 2 days a week. Because I have a client who we started at, like when we first started training, she hadn't been in the gym in a while, but she said that she wanted to work out 5 days a week. I'm like, let's start off at 2 days a week. She's like, no, I'm motivated. I really want to start off with 5 days a week. I'm like, okay. First week comes, guess what? She did not even work out once. And that's not to shame her, but it's just to point out the simple fact of human nature. It is not reasonable or realistic to start off with such a huge, goal / routine in place when you haven't even mastered, the smaller things. So I would say in that example, let's start off with 2 days a week. So that's just an example of whenever you want to start something in life, it's better that you start off small before you jump into doing something that's really big. That's like with college. They're not going to start off with college type of work when we're children, because it's going to be really difficult for us. We're not going to be motivated. We're not going to be interested in it because we're failing at it, because it's something that's so hard. So if you look at how the school system works, they start us off in a huge class with maybe 20 to 30 students or so. I don't know, maybe 10 to 20 students. And you have one teacher. And then you work your way up as you get older, and you have different teachers. And I think in elementary school, at least if I can remember, you have the same classmates, I think. And then middle school, it changes, you have that change where you have different teachers and different classmates, and then in high school, it even gets more difficult. And then same thing when you get in college, but they build your way up to that so that you're not as resilient to it and that you can adjust easier. It may not be the easiest thing. You may not be 100% comfortable, but you're able to adjust throughout time. So become consistent at the small things. And I like this quote: how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you can be consistent with the little things in your life when it comes to saving money, when it comes to fitness goals, when it comes to work, whatever it is in life, if you can do great at mastering the small things, the small routines, then you can build your way up to doing the little things, because you are building that self-trust. Okay, if I can go to the gym 2 days a week and I've been doing it for 3 months, okay, I think I can add in an extra day. It may be a little uncomfortable in the beginning, but I know that I can do it. So build your self-trust into doing the smaller things and work your way up to doing those harder tasks. Don't just start off with something that's really big, because you will fall off, you will fail, and you will start to feel like things are too hard. But if you start off small, set small realistic goals, and then work your way up to that bigger goal, you will be more successful and you will be more disciplined. And then the last thing, it's very important that you change your mindset when it comes to discipline. Like I was saying earlier, discipline can be seen as a negative thing, especially with women. There's this whole thing of women shouldn't be disciplined, but I disagree. I think that women should be disciplined in certain areas of their lives, especially career and work, and with finances. You should be disciplined to a degree so that you will live a life that is peaceful and fruitful. But a lot of people view discipline as being a bad thing. But if you look at discipline as a way of growth and as a way of you becoming your higher self, it will be easier for you to do those tasks. So for example, me with nutrition, like nutrition is one of those things that I'm still like learning to master and just becoming better at and having a better relationship with food. I feel myself like it's hard to be disciplined when it comes to nutrition, especially if you are surrounded by foods that aren't the healthiest for you. Or if you want to go get you an ice cream cone one day and it'll trigger those like emotions and hormones in you that make you want to eat it again that same week. It's kind of harder for me to be on that like consistent track of being disciplined when it comes to food. So instead of me looking at it as such a negative thing of like, oh, I got to restrict myself, or, oh, this is like not healthy, I've been conditioning myself to see it as like me pouring into my higher self. So me not eating certain things is like not about me restricting myself. It's about filling my body with things that will help me to be energized, that will feed into my my healthy body from me strength training and working out consistently, and it will pour into how I feel emotionally and how I feel like my moods, because your gut health affects your brain health. So if you're eating foods that are inflammatory, that are not good for you, that are highly processed, that will affect your gut health, which will then affect your brain health. So you may become more moody, you have less energy, you're more sluggish, things like that. So I have been conditioning myself to see food and, my relationship with food as something like, yes, I do have to be disciplined. And even though I might see those foods, that don't mean that I should necessarily indulge in it all the time. Sometimes it's okay, but not all the time. It's not about being restrictive. It's about pouring into that better version of yourself. And so I think it's just a matter of changing your mindset when it comes to discipline, embracing the discomfort, embracing like in those seasons where, being disciplined is hard and it's not popular, the people around you may not be being disciplined. You still embrace it as, this is just me becoming a better version of myself. You don't want to see it as something that's like an obligation. It's a priority for you, and it's about you just becoming a better person and you reaching whatever your goals are, whether it's fitness, finances, relationships, your healing journey, whatever it is in life. Any goal that you have is going to require a level of discipline. It's just not talked about enough. We talk about working hard, but it's really not even working hard. It's about having habits and systems in place that help you reach whatever your goal is. So even with like going to work, you have a goal of, reaching a certain level in your career. You got to have systems in place that allow you to get to work on time. When you get to work, you're dealing with those hard tasks, even if you don't want to, or even when it's uncomfortable or when it's really stressful, you still persevere and you still endure it and you still do the work, because you know that, one, you're serving a greater cause with whatever work you do, but also it's showing, whoever your management is that, okay, she can handle this, he can handle this. I think it's time for her to go to that next level in her career. We could definitely use her skills in this area of life that can, make you more money, allow you more access to different resources, whatever the case may be. So discipline is not just about doing hard things. That's what discipline is. You're following a set of rules or guidelines that you set for yourself, but it's also you just becoming that higher version of yourself, you reaching whatever your goals are, and just living a life that's more fulfilled, and that's allowing you to really serve whatever your purpose is in life. And just some quick notes I want to also mention about discipline. You need to be aware of what your goals are and make sure they're measurable. So like with fitness, whatever it is, you want to be able to track whatever ways that you can progress, so that you are aware and you know that your discipline is working, and that way you're motivated and you know what you are working towards. You also want to be aware of distractions. A lot of times when you're on this journey of building your discipline and reaching your goals, you know, a lot of distractions will come up. A lot of your old self and your old ways will start to come up. And it's important that you are aware of those things so that you can tackle them and so that you can easily fall back into your disciplined state, because you will sometimes fall off for a day or two, hopefully not longer than a week. But it's okay to get back on track. That's what discipline is even if you do fall off or you have a mess up, it's okay to be aware of that and kind of reflect on that. But it's important that you get back into that routine, get back into that system, and, you know, continue to work on being consistent. We're human, we're not perfect, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to fall off, but you can always get back on track, and that is what discipline is all about. That's why it's important to have systems and routines, so it's easy for you to get back into that motion of doing whatever it is that's helping you to reach your goals and getting things done throughout your day-to-day life. So I hope you guys can take some of my tips from this video. I think that everybody should have a level of discipline in their lives if they want to grow and change and become better. It's never too late to develop these skills, and they apply to any area of your life. Comment below with some of the things that you would recommend to people if you are disciplined, and then also let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the things that I've said. I would love to talk about it and hear you guys' thoughts. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you guys in the next video.